Greetings, brothers and sisters. Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. Welcome to episode 8 of Walk Podcast. I have an amazing guest with me today, Pablo Imani. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Asante.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've actually been manifesting this episode for a while. I just knew I had to have you on the show because I look at you as a master teacher with regard to ancient Kemetic knowledge, with regard to AfRaKan Yoga. And I know you have a lot to share, a lot of knowledge that you're gonna talk about today will help someone on their journey.
Yeah, Sante, give thanks. Much gratitude for inviting me.
Yeah.
So I can share, and I love to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much.
Ashe. Okay, so first let me talk about this tea, man.
Oh, let's talk about the tea. Yeah.
Wow, it's slapping. Perhaps you can tell us what's in the tea.
You want to know what's in the tea?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe the benefits of the ingredients.
In the ingredients.
Yeah.
All right. So the tea has moringa, which is, moringa is good for the nervous system in the body. It helps build up. It's rich in vitamin C as a herb. Then we have the basil, the wild basil that I literally picked from the forest.
Nice. Ololua or?
Just up the road. So there's a forest just up the road, and I go to there, and I tend to pick the basil, wild basil. Anytime I need some herbs, I go there and pick it.
Yeah.
And then it also has some ganja.
Hey.
so it has some ganja twigs in the ganja. It's a special recipe I got from my late mother because she likes to have the ganja tea.
Awesome.
And then it's got some fennel, and fennel is good for the digestive system. So the ganja is good for the lungs.
Yeah.
Helps clear the lungs.
Yeah.
Helps all of that.
Yeah.
And the fennel is great for your digestive system.
All right.
It has other things. I mean, people can check it out.
Yeah.
What the properties are.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of herbal teas myself. Herbs are for the healing of the nation.
Same.
And ever since I started drinking herbal teas regularly, I feel healthier actually. And I specifically like rosemary. There's this other herb called Lipia javanica that we discovered at Ololua Forest. It's also very good for the mind.
Okay. Okay.
Just
I haven't heard of that one, so I'll check that out. I know I was meant to go to the forest a day ago, but there was other things that I'd scheduled in. So.
Yeah, no pressure. Yeah. Check out Lipia javanica. Of course, I will also take this more regularly.
No, I was introduced to herbal teas from when I was like 16 years of age. It was through my parents and particularly my mom. And I consider myself a teologist.
Teologist.
Yeah. that's someone that mixes the herbs, the right herbs, and have a nice blend.
Yeah.
And I also drink and eat according to the colors.
Yep.
So each day represents a different color.
Yeah, I was going to that actually. Seeing as the tea is green, and you are wearing green.
Yeah.
I know there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can share.
So we have different colors that we're able to perceive or see. And the reason why we can perceive these colors is because of the secretion that's coming from the pineal gland. Our pineal gland is what enables us to see colors, and colors are actually chemicals as well as in the body. They're actually chemicals in the body, and they're also sound in the body, sound and frequencies that our brain may pick up, but we are unaware of these, like, because we're not educated to see colors in that way. So there are particular foods that have particular colors that will be aligned with your internal organs. So each color stimulates a particular organ in the body. So at the moment we're dealing with green. So I wear green, I eat green, I drink green, you know, and right now what I'm actually stimulating is my heart.
The heart chakra.
Right, I'm stimulating my heart energy seat, but I'm also stimulating the organ itself. So it responds to green. And so like each day, so Friday is a green day. You know, we have Saturday, which would be a black or a indigo day. Sunday is an orange day. Monday is a blue day. You're going, a blue thing going on.
So this should have been for Monday.
You're stimulating your. Well, I'm stimulating my kidneys just looking at you. You know. So so my kidneys are being stimulated. Tuesday is a red day. So just looking at red will also stimulate the blood. Wednesday is the digestive system. Thursday is purple. So sorry, excuse me. Wednesday is digestive system. So it's stimulated. You're focused on yellow. So that's what that does. It stimulates the digestive system. Yellow. And Thursday is purple. Is your sinews, your bones, your ligaments. So when you're taking on that, you're taking things like maybe, for instance, if you're eating, you'll be eating something like beetroot. You know. So
all right. And who decides which day is for which color? Because as we know, the Gregorian calendar together with the days of the week are artificial. So, you know, who decides which day carries which energy? And is it something that is just written in stone, or is there science behind this?
It's actually a very good question, because I was trained by Dr. Laila Africa, and if anyone don't know who Dr. Laila Africa is, you can check him out on YouTube.
Definitely.
He was the one that trained me, like, I don't know, like a long time ago. I used to study underneath him, study his books. Sit at his feet, spend time with him. He sat down. He literally trained me as a naturopath. He's the one in his book, African Holistic Health. He's the one that breaks down information about the colors. And ever since he broke that down to me, I live by those colors. So maybe for the past 17, 18 years, this is how I've been living.
Wow. All right. That's fair enough. Because I respect Dr. Laila Africa as well. And so if he came up with this system, there's definitely some credibility to it. And there's a time.
And by the way, I did cross-reference with other like therapies and healing modalities just to check if these colors line up, if they're correct. And they are.
All right. Give thanks. And there's a time you also mentioned the Neteru, that each Neteru has a particular day. And a particular color associated with them that now matches the system you follow.
Yeah. So I didn't mention the Neteru, but they're within that system. So, for instance, your blue is Osset. Yeah, and Osset will be depicted as the divine feminine, which a lot of people mistranslate as a goddess. But that's a divine feminine energy, and she represents all the divine feminine energies out there, all of them. She's like the lady with 10,000 names. So she's been associated in all different cultures. A color is blue. So you know, like when we're talking about the Nigerian culture, the Yoruba, they say Yemaya. She is your Yemaya. You know, a color would be more to do with blue or anything to do with water, the oceans, and so on. So blue is the color generally of the goddess. Now check this out. In the West, they make blue male. They make blue a mask. When little babies come out, they dress them all in blue. When the little girls come out, they dress them all in pink. But pink is a form of red. It's just red with white added. That's it. And white is not a color. So it's just red with white added. So pink really is a masculine color. Red is a masculine color because it's the color of the warrior. It's the color of blood. And on a Tuesday, you have a warrior called Herukuti who oversees Tuesdays, blood. So on a Tuesdays, we take blood cleansers. We wear red. We look at red. We take our blood cleansers. We're cleaning the blood on a Tuesdays.
Makes sense. All right. So red is a masculine color.
It's dynamic. It represents,
passion.
Supposed to represent passion, danger. It's a color of a call to action. Attention. That's red.
All right. So Herukuti. So when Heru defeated Set, was he in his Herukuti frequency?
That's right. He was out to slay. I mean, there's different stories around that, by the way. So one story is like he takes off a Set's head and he drags him around. That's one kind of story, throughout Kemet. Dragging him around, making an example of him. Of course, really what we're talking about is higher nature and the ego.
It's a metaphor.
So it's a metaphor, allegory. So it's that. There's another story where he defeats him without having to annihilate him. But he defeats him in a way to say, I am the master of my lower nature. And that's what Set represents. Then Set was able to travel with Ra on a boat of a million years and be a defender of Ra. So be a defender of the consciousness. And that's how we've kind of got to utilize the ego to a level where our egos can actually kick down the door. If we need some doors kicking down, it's our ego that will do that. and or defend when someone's really coming at you, not to be so passive that you're overrun, but to be able to say, hey, hang about, this is how it go, I saw it go, and so on, and defend like that. So we use it on a certain level, but we don't use it to actually develop ourselves in terms of our self-growth. our spiritual growth. In terms of interrelationships, we're not using our ego on that level.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be aware of our ego on that level, because it can rise up and, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we've spoken about Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Monday was blue, Tuesday red, now Wednesday.
Yeah. Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
So, okay. Does that correspond to the solar plexus or?
In a way, yeah, but it is the digestive system.
Yeah.
It's governed by Sebek. Sebek is like a discerner of things and people and stuff. So, you know, when you say you got that gut feeling,
Yes.
that's a Sebek nature. Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally a brain.
Yeah, right. So that's Sebek. Sebek is a crocodile, so it's reptilian in nature.
Yeah.
But it's definitely that. I see you. That, you know, Sebek is like that, and you pick up that. There are things that are hard for us to digest.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So there's certain things that, you know, it might appear to be nice. Oh, this food that you present is very it's looking lovely. But can you actually digest it? You know,
that's how it goes with processed foods.
Right. So
See a pizza looking so yummy,
yeah.
but inside our gut, it's a different story.
It's a different story, and Sebek deals with that energy.
Yeah.
Shall I take it? Shall I not? Shall I deal with this? Shall I? You know, Sebek is like that.
All right.
And yellow, and it's a certain level of intelligence.
Yeah.
So yellow represents intellect. Also.
Yeah. Makes sense. And yellow is the sun as well.
That's yeah. So when you mention the solar plexus,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. That energy as well, solar plexus energy. But you know, like in our internal bodies, we have these principles.
Yeah.
That our ancient ones had pretty much laid down for us. So we have different ones that govern different aspects of our being.
Yeah.
And these principles is something that we could, or I would suggest we get to know.
Yes.
You know, because it kind of like gives us more of a story of the human body and the human from an African cosmological perspective. It will give us that idea of all the various personality types that's emanating from our being, which we're connected to. And so it was a long time ago. Yeah, so what? Our brains are still operating from millions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
You know, our behaviors, all of that is still operating from me. So it was a long time ago. So, you know, we can't get away from that. We're still in our psychology, in our consciousness, still connected to those particular principles, which people are calling gods and goddesses, but they are forms of nature, cosmic forms, earthly forms of nature that we are still connected to and tied to in some way.
Yes. And if anything, as much as some may argue it was a long time ago, that was the peak of our spiritual and cultural perfection.
Yeah.
You know, before colonization and slavery, which led to self-forgetfulness, majority of our people no longer know who they are, you know. And so this ancient knowledge is taking us back to our true selves, and living by these principles elevates our frequency, our vibration.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So Wednesday, we've done Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Oh yeah. So now we are on Thursday.
Yo, you want me to go all the way through and break it down? Okay,
Yeah,
so Thursday is Ma'atan Tahuti. You know,
Yep.
Is governed by Ma'atan Tahuti.
All right.
And you know, that's really dealing with the foundation of the body itself in terms of the structure.
Yeah.
In fact, the structure of the body is the skeletal system. So Ma'atan Tahuti deals with that side of things anyway, on a universal, the entire universe is built off Ma'at's order,
Balance,
you know, and balance, truth,
reciprocity.
Yes.
Justice.
Yeah. Go on. So you got Ma'at, feminine principle of wisdom, Tahuti, masculine principle of wisdom.
Yeah.
Tahuti is known as the architect, the blueprint maker, or the black print maker.
Black print.
Yes. of the entire matrix, the entire field. Do you know what I mean? He is that. He's known as the head of the Ogdogs, or the Greeks call him Ogdogs, but we call him Kemenu. He's the head of the Kemenu. The Kemenu is like, you know, Nun, Nunet, Ket, Keket, He, Hehet, Amun, Amunet. So, Nun is what people call today the quantum field, or the quantum. It's the space of potentiality, possibilities, and out of Nun, all things start to form. So, he's the head of Nun.
Oh.
Yes,
that
so
he's of a higher rank than Nun.
Yeah. He's the head of those Kemenu.
Yeah.
So Nun is that where everything comes out of being in our consciousness or our stories. That is the primordial waters.
Yep.
In today's science, they call it the quantum field.
Yeah.
You know, so we had all this information laid down way back.
Yep.
You know, it's just a matter of like understanding it.
Yes. And I feel like Western science hides the proof of spirituality in quantum physics.
Right.
You know, now the fancy stuff is in the quantum physics. You hear the quantum realm and quantum entanglement, quantum superposition. But if you really look closely at it, it's our spirituality. Yeah. Now coming into mainstream science.
Yeah. Just with different words.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. It's the same. It's pretty much the same or very similar definition of what we were talking about thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Amongst our African peoples.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like we were advanced.
Yeah.
So it's like we have, what's the word? Regressed.
Yeah, we kind of, you know, we kind of been thrown off the path in a certain way, or, you know, the thing with that is, you know, that regression is that we have been definitely distracted. You know, we've been distracted with wars.
Yeah.
We've been distracted with invasions.
Yeah.
We've been distracted with kidnapping,
Yep.
rape, brutality, murder, torture, taken out of, many of us been displaced.
Yep.
So all of that brings about a distraction, a crazy distraction. And also during the time period of that, there's distortion of the knowledge.
Yes.
So you got all these distortions. So there's distraction and distortion. And then so you're like, the generations coming have been like, so what do I see? What do I'm looking at? So on and so on. But I'll tell you this, the answers still lie within you.
Yes.
So but it takes some digging, it takes some work to get to the jewels within ourselves.
Yeah.
So that information is all there. All the people that you know that has this level of knowledge or a certain amount of knowledge or understanding or certain amount of consciousness, they've been doing the work.
Yes.
They've been digging. They've been going in, taking that time to understand, to study, to meditate, to reflect. They've been doing the work.
Yeah, that's true. As long as we are in this physical dimension, we have to work on ourselves, get that knowledge of self, keep consistent with practices like meditation, yoga, plant medicine. So
purifying the body, keeping the body clean. Losing the distractions, some of the distractions. So I'm telling you straight, some of the distractions is Netflix and so on. I'm not saying don't watch it or don't, but sometimes you have to minimize a lot of these distractions and take that time out. Also, distractions can come in the form of the people that are around you. The company you keep can be a distraction. Or they can either build you or they can keep you at a certain level.
Yes.
So there's distraction in food, there's distraction in what you're watching, there's distraction in what you're listening to, there's distraction in what you're reading. So you have to have that discernment.
Yes. And nowadays I feel with the information overload, thanks to the internet, that discernment is very much needed. You need to filter what kind of information you are consuming. That's part of our levity. I don't want to say diet. It's part of our levity, what we consume through the internet. There's so much. And you need to know, okay, who am I following? Is it gonna benefit me? Is it gonna build me? Because it's easy there's so many teachers, so many teachers have come up with different philosophies, and you can lose yourself in the process of following others. So, you have to look with your third eye, the pineal gland that you're talking about, and also take some time for self to actually do the work outside of external teachers or external things.
Yeah, I mean, there's teachers. I won't knock any of the teachers as such. I would just say that, you just have to be discerning. Some of them are saying the same thing, but in a different way.
Yes.
A lot of them actually will be saying pretty much the same thing, just in a different way. But then you got some FBI agents. You got, dare I say it? You know what I mean? You got agents that slip in.
Yes.
And so, and they're there for a reason. So they're there to distort the information that is being put out. And they're there also. And so there has to be, you have to do background checks. on folks nowadays. Like, really, where did this person come from?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to do it. You've had to really collaborate, check out spiritually if this person's on point. Now, the person might be at a particular level.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they have the absolute knowledge. I certainly don't have absolute knowledge or absolute information.
Yeah.
The focus is what I have right now seems to be working for me right now.
Yes.
But I'm always open for growing, always open for learning more, expanding. But also, I'm also aware that there's distortions.
Yeah.
So I have to use discernment when I'm reading other people's books, when I'm looking at other people's videos, or whatever it is. I have to use discernment. Is that I have to ask my body, my being, is that on point?
Yeah.
If my being resonates with it, then I'm like, okay, that's inspirational. Let me go and check out that a little bit more.
Yes.
If it's not, I just dismiss it. I'm like, that's a distortion.
Yeah.
It has to line up with the principles of truth.
Yeah.
It has to be in somehow, shape or form. It can't be hate focused.
Yeah.
It has to be loving. It has to be open. It can't be exclusive. It has to be inclusive.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of good information out there, but sometimes the direction is coming more from trauma than anything else.
Yeah.
So one has to be aware of that.
Makes sense. All right. So we are left with which days? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Friday is Neteru. It's governed by Neteru.
Yeah.
Neteru is Athor, if ones don't understand.
Yeah.
And the energy of Athor is festive, it's fun, it's dance, it's
beauty,
it's music, it's hey, let's have some fun. It's also creativity.
Yeah.
It's creativity, it's sensuality, it's to do with the heart. And so Neteru is that. That's what she represents.
Right.
So she represents what's called the path of love. And if you want to understand about love, and you simply study like Neteru, or nurturing. That's why she's depicted as a cow, right?
Yes.
Because of the nurturing of the cow. So you have that. Also, if you want to study about love, you can also go to asset as well. It's in some information out there, in some cultures out there, asset also is associated with the heart. Asset is what they call Isis, which I said earlier, really, that's Monday. She governs Monday, right? But she also is associated with the heart. And if you want to understand love, when people say, not just romantic love, but universal, higher nature love, but even romantic love, you study her because, she went to the ends of the earth for her husband.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Sometimes I feel like she
even brought her husband back from the dead.
Yeah, I feel like she was the hero in the whole saga of Osar and Set, because she brought him back from the dead. She remembered his body. She trained her rules still.
Yeah, exactly. Got it.
So I mean, asset energy is amazing.
So so she's got the love of the lover, the love of the mother, and also the love of community. And that's what she represents.
There's a book I read called The Sophia Code.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sophia Code. And it talks about Aset being a reincarnation of Neteru. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is, but considering they're both associated with love, maybe Aset now embodies that aspect of Neteru.
Yeah.
And well, maybe Neteru came first also, because she's considered a daughter of Ra.
Okay, so they're both daughters of Ra.
Okay.
What it is you have Atum coming out of the waters of Nun.
Yeah.
And from him came the 9 Enneads.
Yeah.
So the 9 Enneads is Asar, Asetu, they're calling Isis.
Yeah.
Set, Nephthys, Geb, Nut, Shu, Tefnut, and Haru. Those are your 9. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they kind of came around about the same time. The thing with Aset is this, is that she embodies all the goddesses, all of them.
Yeah.
She embodies all of them. Also, you have Tefnut, who embodies all the goddesses as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so if people are au fait with kind of like the Vedanta, the Hindu system, you have like, Kali and Durga and all these. But they're really the embodiments or aspects of the one, you know, the one goddess. So you have like different ones, Lakshmi and so on. But they're really an embodiment or aspects of one particular energy, which is that feminine, that divine feminine energy.
Yes. All right. That's Friday.
Okay. So Saturday is like Ptah or Sakur. I can tell you more about Ptah than Sakur. I need to go a little bit deeper with Sakur.
Yeah.
But Ptah, okay, so Ptah is deemed as actually the creator.
Yeah.
Not Ra came later in our conscious minds, our stories.
Yeah.
Ra, Atum, Atun, Amun. These all came like later, but they're all associated with one being, which is Ra. Ta was the one that came out of the waters of Nun. In the story, and we call it the Memphite theology.
Yes.
In that story, Ta comes out, he forms a hill. Now, behind Ta comes Atum and sits on the hill. Okay. Some say he sat on a lotus flower. You know, so but Atum is an aspect of Ra. So the story is that Ta came out, formed a mound. Very first pyramid, or very first because the pyramid is really a Phoenician word. So he formed a mound, and the story is that he formed everything out. You know, he created the universe through his tone, through his sound. So he went and the reverberations went out. You know, and from his heart. So he created it. The story is it came from his heart, not his head or his mind or his brain, but his heart. And he formed that tone from his heart, and then everything started to form. And you know, that was atom came after, and atom is where you get the word atoms from. Atoms. So all matter started to form from tar resonating that tone. And atom was there now. So atom takes over, basically.
Right. It's interesting about tar because in some depictions he's shown as a little man, a dwarf. I don't know if that's an appropriate word. But, but at the same time, it's like the Toa people are some of the most ancient human beings. So I feel like they were the original humans, and Ta was depicted as them, since he was the original deity, cosmic principle from which everything else came. All right. What's the color for Saturday?
Black.
Black. All right.
It can be black or indigo.
Yeah. Okay.
So black is, and let me share this with you. Black is all colors.
Yes, we have to
break this down. Yeah. We have to.
Let's get it straight.
Don't let anyone tell you black is the absence of color. I don't know I don't care what textbook it is in. It's not scientific. It's not correct. Black is all colors, all tones, all frequency, all sound, all everything. Black is. And it balances everything. Supremely.
Supreme balancement.
Whereas white is the absence of color. It's the absence of sound. It's the absence of tone. You hear the white noise, right? So it's that shh. There's no music in that, really. Because music's made up of melody, harmony, and rhythm. And if you don't have those, you don't have music. Just note that. Melody, harmony, rhythm. You don't have them, that's not music. So white noise cannot be that, can it? So shh. And that's what white is. It's no color. It's absence of color. So these are not colors. They're moods. And black is a mood of balance. White is supposed to be a mood of nothing in there, no distractions. So that's why it symbolizes purity, because there's nothing in there.
All right. So as melanated people, we should be more proud of our melanin. So it's black. It's literally condensed sunlight, you know. Sunlight in physical form, and it contains lots of energy. It's all colors locked inside it. Light energy, it transmutes that sunlight into electricity for the body. I think they played around with our minds.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It bamboozled us.
You know, this whole thing about, you know, you'll see it everywhere you go, and pretty much if you're also in like the kind of healing community, the spirituality community, all different walks of life, all different cultures. You know, people talk about enlightenment, you know, being enlightened.
Being enlightened, and then darkness is
right, and so there's light and there's dark. No. Our ancestors weren't dealing with light and dark. They were dealing with ignorance and knowledge. So they replace light and dark,
Yeah.
or should I say they replace ignorance and knowledge with light and dark.
I see.
And that is a distortion. There is dark doesn't represent ignorance.
Yep.
Darkness is something else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, yes.
And light is something else. And there will be no light without the darkness. And light comes out of darkness.
Darkness gives meaning to light.
And darkness is all powerful.
Yeah.
Light is a beep in the darkness.
Yeah.
So to demonize darkness when darkness was the first.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And thereby, people with dark skin are demonized.
Exactly.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And that is the trick that has been played on people's minds, on people's consciousness.
Yeah.
So here's one for you: Endarkenment.
Hey, all right.
Endarkenment. We are now embracing endarkenment when we're going in to gain the knowledge and the information that we require, that we need. What do you do when you sit and meditate? You close your eyes.
Yep.
And you go into the darkness. Yes?
Yep.
So, to get what? To get enlightenment, right? But the reality is,
you're going to get enlightenment.
You have to go through the dark first to get the enlightenment.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah. That's deep. And we needed to clarify this. It's very well hidden in the English language. So many terms, so many negative association of black and darkness that we need to debunk, we need to decolonize and free the mind from. Yeah. Right. Final day, Sunday.
So the Sunday is orange, and the Sunday is governed by Haru. The orange color actually, it has two levels that works with it. It has, of course, this sacral level. It works all the way up through to the solar plexus.
Yeah.
And it works through to the lungs.
Yeah.
Now, here around your pelvis area is an area that is said to have governed by Sekhmet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's that scarlet but orangey color.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's also a root energy that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And here in this area is also a root energy. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you open up your pelvis, your pelvic muscles, your the more that's opened, the better the breathing is, because the pelvis anatomically is associated with the lungs. And so the more this area is opened, the better your breath work will be, the better your breathing. All yogis would know this pretty much, or understand this, that this area needs to be open for this area to really benefit from breath work.
All right.
So the orange energy, is really the stimulation of the lungs.
Okay. Makes sense.
Even when you're taking the citrus, the orange, the orange itself, the citrus, and you're eating that, it's really good for clearing out this area.
Yeah. Great.
Clearing out the mucus and all of that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now we know all the days of the week and the energies
Okay.
associated with them.
Yeah.
Yep. And personally, I will try to incorporate this more into my levity. Especially, keeping in mind the Neteru for the day. It's a good reminder of our ancestors and how they lived. All right. Now, let's talk about AfRaKan Yoga.
Okay. Okay.
I've been doing yoga for maybe 4 years now. I started off with Hatha Yoga, and then I discovered Vinyasa Yoga, and that became my favorite style. And then I believe last year, a sister called Culture Queen, Jerop, sent me a link to one of your classes online that I attended, and it was a whole different style, man. AfRaKan Yoga. Actually, the first time I had AfRaKan Yoga, it made me think, okay, so there was yoga in Africa, This is something most people don't know. They think yoga is imported from India. But in actuality, there was yoga in Africa. I've also done Smai Tawi with other teachers before online, but when I discovered yours, it's different. It's like your own blend, So you can't tell us what your AfRaKan Yoga involves and how you discovered it actually.
Okay. It's funny because for the longest time, we've been putting AfRaKan Yoga out there.
Yeah.
Really, throwing that mud so it sticks.
Yeah.
We've been really getting it to connect.
Yeah.
Now, AfRaKan Yoga is really what we call Tamare Smai Tawi.
Yes.
But it has, like you said, it has this blend. And firstly, I need to tell you about Tamare Smai Tawi.
Yes.
Because AfRaKan Yoga is just simply my shortcut to the science of Tamare Smai Tawi. So Tamare, it refers to the ancient land. Before there was a Kemet, or even Kemet, Kemetic peoples, there was the Tarmarians, or the people of Meri, okay? And Meri basically refers to love, or the loved space, or the beloved.
Yeah.
Yes, and Tar refers to the land. Remember what I said about Ptah? He was the one that formed that term. Tar comes from Ptah. The one that first came out, formed that mound, formed the earth, and then Atum sat on it, right?
Yeah.
And then everything started to form out of that. So before there was a Kemet, there was a Tar Meri. Some people say Meritar. They take it the other way around.
Yes, I've heard of it.
So some people say Meritar. Some will say Tar Meri. Now, it refers to the land of the beloved, or the loved land.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, there was no priesthood, there was no dynasty, there was no... It basically was just people, hunter-gatherers doing their thing. Then they formed crops, and they started farming. So before they were even farming for thousands of years, they were hunter-gatherers. That's our ancestors.
Yeah.
Okay. then, you know, they'll go out, they'll go to the lakes, they'll fish, they would do all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So the inspiration comes from that.
Yeah.
Before dynasties, which is Kemet. Now, what were these people, what were they engaged in? They were engaged with the elements.
Yes.
The elements. They were working with the elements, working with the earth. They were working with the seasons, the waters, the stars. They were into astrology. They were into earth energy. They were into all of those kind of things, right? Fire energy. They observed the sun. They're the ones that started really acknowledging the planets and the sun. They're the ones that developed that knowledge. They're the ones that became the priests.
Yep.
Okay? So my inspiration comes from that period of time. That's why it's Tamare, Smai Tawi. Smai refers to the breath, the science of breathing, how to breathe, that whole energy is dealing with this particular area, the lungs, but it's also dealing with the spine.
How about union? Smai as union?
It also means union.
Because from what I know, Smai Tawi was the union of Upper and Lower Kemet.
Right. So this is a political term, the Smai Tawi or Smai Tawi. But Smai Tawi has other layers to it. So there's the political term. There is the internal psychological term. There's the term around movement. Anything that you're doing to balance, to have balanced states of mind and body, balanced states of the spirit and the soul, balanced states of, for instance, we talk about our nutrition earlier, what we eat, balanced. That's Smai Tawi. It's all Smai Tawi. We all refer to that. So when you talk about your liberty, we're talking about Smai Tawi. It's all of that. So that's why it cannot just be a thing that you do once a week. It's your lifestyle. That's all Smai Tawi. And so the balancing of the two states is what we call our yoga. The inner, the outer, the masculine, the feminine, so on and so on. All polarities being reconciled and being balanced. All polarities. So you say, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's good. You can't just go for the good and leave the bad. You have to balance them out. You know, sometimes I say to students, feed your demons. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you got demons. You don't be trying to bat them off or whatever.
That's scary.
You gotta have to feed them at some point. You have to feed them a little bit. Because they're just gonna keep coming back. Because you cannot annihilate who you are because they're all you. So when we were talking about earlier the dark and the light, they're all you. You're all of it. So it can't be like, I'm going to go for this. And, nah, not that. Oh, but this, not that. You know, we gotta balance them all out. This is what we're calling Smai Tawi. It's not a thing with your yoga mat and whatever. It's in everything. It moves within everything that you do. And it's not easy to be a Smai Tawi being. It's not easy to even say you're living that way. Because it means that all things have to be at some point, as Tahuti said in his law of correspondence, all things has to be reconciled. In the law of polarity, all things have to be reconciled. in the law of rhythm, the pendulum swings.
Yep.
But what goes to the left has to be equal to the right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my left or that's my right.
Uh-huh.
For a minute, I didn't have it there, but they have to be balanced.
Yeah, we have to reconcile the opposites, find balance in the apparent contradiction.
Yeah,
because that's why we have Maya. The illusion is that the opposites are different, but once you rise to a higher state of consciousness, you find it's all in harmony.
Yeah, so what they call in Maya, we call it Isfet, but it's there for a reason. The Maya is there to show you you need to balance out. So if you're going through states of confusion, you're just being told, balance out.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going through certain things, you're immediately told, balance out. There doesn't have to be any, you know, why is this happening?
Yeah.
It's happening because you're imbalanced.
Yep.
And so it means, okay, you don't beat yourself up about that imbalance.
Yeah.
Because it's also part of the law of rhythm. You will at some point move out of it.
Yeah.
And then some point come into it.
Yeah.
And then some, but it's knowing how to reconcile a lot faster rather than allowing that imbalance to happen over years.
Yep.
Because that's how the disease comes in, right?
Yes.
Because of those imbalances happening over for too long.
Yeah.
So that's when the disease starts to come in.
Yeah.
So this is what your Smai Tawi is. It's all of that.
Yeah.
And so like in the practice or the self-cultivation, the self-development that I teach is, one is Smai Tawi.
Yeah.
We use the breath, we use postures, we use meditation.
Yeah.
We deal with the nutrition, like I was just breaking down some nutritional aspects. We take in all things. We enjoy the sound of drums and the sound when we're doing our movements.
Yeah.
We acknowledge the elements.
Yeah.
We work with the elements.
Yeah.
So some of the movements are very flowing and dance-like movements. So we have dance elements within it, which is very, somatic.
Yeah.
We go into that. For some people, it can be trance-like states. For some people, it can just be, I'm working out, doing these physical moves. It depends.
Yes.
And we use the postures because the postures work with the body structure and the internal organs, where the dance and flowing movements, they also work with the structure and internal organs, but they work on an emotional level. So they help to clear and cleanse the emotions.
Yeah.
So we are focused on a psycho-spiritual kind of level where everything starts to balance out when we're doing our sessions or our practice. And so African yoga is embedded in the culture of Africa. It follows those kind of philosophies. So it has like 3 threads within its philosophy.
Yeah.
The one is the transcendence philosophy, being able to rise above certain states of being, raise your vibrations, get to what we call an overstanding.
Yep.
Overstanding this now.
You're above the nose.
I get it now.
Yes.
I overstand it.
Yes.
So transcendence, having that transcendence philosophy, then it has what's called the embodiment philosophy, embodying invoking the principles, embodying the principles, but also working with the elements, embodying the elements. This is very African anyway, because that's what we do ritually. We embody, we get down to the earth. We're dealing with the earth. We're grounding. We do a lot of grounding work. We have to, and you have to ground in order to embody the energies that are flowing through and flowing within. That's why people are like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Oh, this is, that's why certain people, they're in spiritual circles. They get overwhelmed.
That's so true. I was reading a book by Sadhguru, and he was talking about how we look down on the lower chakras, like the root and the sacral, because they have to do with survival. But people forget that these are the chakras that ground us to the earth. So even as we assimilate spiritual knowledge, we need to be grounded. So we have to find balance and utilize this so-called lower.
That's right. They're there for a reason. So that energy. So we have what's called the embodiment philosophy, the grounding, the earthing, the dealing with that, so that you can deal with all of these energies that are coming through. Then of course, there's the Smai Tawi philosophy, the union philosophy. Okay, so there's three: transcendence, embodiment, and union. And we're working with all three of these philosophies in African yoga. It's something that is key. And the underlying principles is the governance of Ma'at. Okay, that is the underlying. Ma'at is the base that we sit on. Or some people say standing on the square. Our Mason brothers and sisters, we're on the square. We're talking. What they're talking about is Ma'at. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that truth, righteousness, reciprocity, harmony. That is, So African yoga has that, and so it has the dynamic levels within it, but also it has that spiritual connection, flow. Movement. Sometimes, you don't need to know all this intellectually. You just need to just get down with some water movement, some fire movement. You need to just get down with some of that, and you'll get it, because this is mainly not so much. It's not about your intellect. And your spirituality's got nothing to do with intellect. You'll find that a lot of spiritual high-level teachers are illiterate. When you look at this guy who's in the village and he's like so calm, and he's just dealing with the earth, and he understands how the trees grow, he understands the seasons, he can plant certain things, and he understands the nature of the plant, he can even talk to the plant. But does he have a college degree? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But he's connected, and so you don't have to understand it. A lot of people feel that, I got to get this intellectually. I got to... No, you got to feel it. And to do it is to feel it.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge. I can see through the hours
Yes.
that, our hour is up. Well, I wanted us to talk more about, your organization called Respect, about densities, dimensions, but that's fine. We can reschedule a part 2. Yeah, first let this marinate with the people. Let them, reflect upon this, and I trust people will benefit a lot.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Hotel. Peace.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tapping in. I'll leave the link to our PayPal, to our M-Pesa, if you'd like to support our channel. And yeah, see you in the next one. Hotel.
Hotel.